Is now Congressman Mark Meadows. He's a member of both the House Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, great to have you with us. Surely it's against the rules for federal employees to be watching pornography now, isn't it? I mean, I'm just stunned.
Well, it is, Lou. You know, Lou, it is mind-boggling, and when you start to talk about this, you say, how in the world could this be going on in the federal workforce? But more troubling than that was the testimony that we heard today in this Government Oversight Committee, where really the acting deputy administrator said, well, we're not even committed to fire them, even though we have a zero tolerance. I asked him, I said, well, are you willing to fire him? And the answer is no. And the number of people that he's fired, even though this problem is not just relegated to, he has fired zero people, Lou, and it's just astonishing.
It is astonishing, and it isn't happening just at the EPA. We've heard much the same thing about the inability to hold accountable employees and the leadership of various agencies, including the IRS, the Secret Service. I mean, the list goes on. The American people have got to be dumbfounded watching this process in which you guys hold hearings. You look down at the leaders of the thing, they admit they're complete screw-ups and acting irresponsibly in every way, and it just sets up another hearing. Nothing ever happens. Ever.
Well, I can tell you, Lou, that I, for one, and Chairman Chaffetz both, are not going to stop where nothing happens. And that we've had a couple of hearings on this. As you know, I've introduced legislation, but you would think that I wouldn't need legislation. You think that Congress wouldn't need to act to say that if somebody is viewing pornography or sexually harassing a female, by the way, that person had 17 different accounts. Nothing happened to him. He was allowed to retire with full benefits. Enough is enough. Now, we've got a lot of great federal workers, but when the agency heads are not willing to deal with it, heads need to roll, in my opinion, and we're going to continue to hold them accountable, and not just from a hearing standpoint, but apply real pressure so the American people can see action.
I want to turn to the gyrocopter and your colleague and the Chairman Jason Chaffetz saying that the gyrocopter pilot who flew into the Capitol lawn there, undetected apparently by radar and radar operators, he said he was very lucky to be alive, the pilot of that gyrocopter, that he should have been blown out of the air. It turns out, no, he was in the air, for crying out loud.
Well, the interesting thing is intelligence picked him up as a blip here and there. We knew more information from people like you, Lou, and others in the media who were alerting people within the federal agencies that, hey, this guy is coming your way. And when you have to rely on the media to report it, there's something systemically wrong. We've got to get to the bottom of that. It's not a matter of technology. We can put a man on the moon. We can fly rovers to Mars, and yet somehow a guy in a gyrocopter can't make it to the grounds with being detected. We need to do better than that, and I think we can do better than that.
The Defense for Democracy's Clifford May tonight on this show, I think, scared the dickens out of a lot of people, saying that he expects this administration to go ahead with a treaty with Iran, even as they move their ships into the Gulf of Aden to block shipping, possibly, potentially. And he says, frankly, he thinks that this deal will be done with Tehran. It will be done as an executive order. There will be not a damn thing that the American people or the Congress that represents us can do, and he will take it to the United Nations, and it will be done. What do you think?
Well, I heard that as you were interviewing him, and you've been on top of this, Lou, from the very start. And you know, from my standpoint, I think it's a bad deal. But what makes a bad deal even worse is when we've got Iran sitting there taking ships captive, actually supporting rebels in Yemen, and yet we're supposed to look at them as allies. Secretary Kerry going out and saying, well, we want them to help negotiate on our behalf. There is something that is just drastically wrong. Those two narratives don't fit together, and I am concerned with an executive overreach where they go to the UN and bypass the will of the people.
Congressman, always good to talk with you. Thanks for being here tonight. Congressman
Same here. Thanks.
Meadows.